Piers Morgan is the host of the upcoming Piers Morgan Uncensored on Fox Nation. We know it will be uncensored. Our friend. We're happy to have him join us tonight. Piers, thanks so much for coming on. So let me just give you. I'm going to let you talk. I'm not going to get in your way. But let me just say, these are actors. I know a lot of actors. They, good qualities, bad qualities, but not a single authentic public utterance or action ever because they're actors. So, I don't believe any of this. I'm just saying that. What do you think?
I think it was real, and I think because I think it was real, it was actually one of the most entertaining moments in Oscars history. It may have saved the Oscars because, let's be honest, it's normally this unbearable, sycophantic snooze fest of backslappers all telling each other how wonderful they are. I expected last night to turn into a series of ever more unctuous virtue signaling speeches about Ukraine, but instead we got a real-life personal war erupt on stage between two bona fide superstars, and it was absolutely riveting. I was like half asleep in my hotel room, and suddenly it's like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? And at the heart of it, like all wars, it began with probably just a terrible misunderstanding. Chris Rock, from what I gather, had no idea that Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith's wife, suffers from this medical condition called alopecia that caused her to lose her hair and made her shave all her hair off last summer. Had he done that, I don't think he would have done the pretty lame joke. Will Smith, I think, thought that Chris Rock did know that his wife had the condition and was deliberately mocking it. And at that moment, as he said in his statement tonight of apology to Chris Rock and everybody else, he said, look, I just lost it in the emotional moment of thinking this guy was mocking my wife's illness. I can kind of sympathize with both guys, but I don't agree with you, Tucker. I don't think it was a fake. I don't think these guys were acting. I think it was the real deal. And as such, a unique moment of Oscars history.
Well, I'm all for authenticity. I'm against that kind of authenticity, but I like authentic things, of course. But Will Smith, I don't know anything about this, but I read about it today, had just done a bunch of interviews talking about infidelity, his wife's, talking about stuff like no normal person would ever talk about in public. So he's willing to do that, but someone makes a hair joke and he loses control.
It's funny, I interviewed Jada Pinkett Smith a few years ago at CNN, and Will Smith actually turned up unexpectedly, and he sat in the corner watching. But before the interview started, he came up to me and he said, I didn't know him, never met him before, and he said, Mr. Morgan, don't upset my wife. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And I thought of that last night because he's right. Nobody would like him when he's that angry. So there's clearly another side to this guy. He's clearly a very emotional, possibly at the moment, he looked quite disturbed. I don't know what's going on in his life. But it certainly came out of nowhere, and it had followed, before that, the Oscars last night was following its normal unbearable route. I thought the absolute epicenter of woke hypocrisy was watching one of the hosts, Regina Hall, who was actually lusting after male stars on stage and then began to physically grope them. And all I could think of, can you imagine if a male star had pulled up 4 female actresses and began to pour them on stage, that guy would have been destroyed and cancelled in about 5 seconds. So there was already a night of unparalleled hypocrisy going down. But in an odd way, there was nothing hypocritical about what we saw with Will Smith. It was a genuine act of take the blinkers off. This is what I really think about this guy, and I'm going to go and smack him one. And, I don't know. There might be guys watching this, Tucker, tonight. I wonder if your own wife was suffering from a medical condition like this and had been through a pretty traumatic time, can we hand on heart say if she was being apparently mocked about it in front of 1 billion people, would we not have reacted emotionally and perhaps in a hothead way? I can't guarantee I wouldn't have done. So I give him a slight pass for that. But I do think that when you look at it in totality, it was an extraordinary moment, probably the most extraordinary moment in the history of the Academy Awards. And quite where it leaves everybody in Hollywood with their constant moralizing is only you and I's to guess.
Well, that is a different way. I mean, they've set the bar pretty high. There's going to have to be a murder on stage next year to keep those numbers up. So you've got a new show.
You've got to be honest, we're all going to be watching it.
I would watch that. Piers Morgan Uncensored premieres on Fox Nation April 25th. We are charter subscribers to this Piers Morgan